And for Fighting Irish Preview, I'm Phil Houck. Marcus Freeman said it best post-game. It's a lot better after a win. And Marcus Freeman obviously relieved to notch his first victory today. And indeed, it had been 294 days since the Irish last tasted victory against Stanford last November. And today they defeated Cal 24-17 in a back-and-forth battle that wasn't decided until the last play of the game when Jack Plummer's pass into the end zone finally got knocked to the turf and in classic Hail Mary fashion was almost caught, as to my view of the replay. So a lot of drama in this game, but a 7-point victory for the Irish. And lots was good about the game, and lots wasn't so good, and particularly in the first half with the Irish today. Let's talk about some of the negatives before we get to the positives. A slow start by the Irish, 4 punts, 4 3-and-outs to begin, and no first downs until 13:36 of the second quarter. The offense just sputtered and sputtered and sputtered. 4 third-down false start penalties, and they were all in the first half, and they were just drive killers. 5-yard penalties when you've got third and short, suddenly you got third and long. That's a drive killer. And for the third straight week, no takeaways. It's crazy. 12 straight quarters now, and the Irish have not taken the football away. It certainly looked like they had their first interception to ice the game at the end. Clarence Lewis, and that got overturned due to a targeting penalty on the play, and then a fumble that looked like to be a scoop and score by Tariq Bracy 30 seconds later. That also got overturned and was called to be intentional grounding, and said that the quarterback was down before he threw the ball. Anyway, both of those plays were overturned. No turnovers yet for the Irish in the 22 season. And Drew Pyne, he gets both categories today, good and bad. The bad, a negative to start the game, very inaccurate with his passes, difficulty handling snaps. Early on in the game, showed obvious signs of nervousness, had to be talked to a little bit by his coach, his head coach, and his offensive coordinator, but he did ultimately settle down and get into the flow of the game and was pretty effective because the Irish got things going, particularly in the second half, with some real positives. Defensively for the game, 6 sacks. That's huge. 8 tackles for loss. A load of hurries. They were in Jack Plummer's back pocket all game long, and Jack Plummer only made this a game due to his escapability. He was able to scramble a couple of times out of real peril to make big plays for the Golden Bears, but he had a long day and tasted the turf quite a bit and was hurried quite a bit by that defensive line for the Irish. And the offensive line performed much better today. They were getting push really from the start of this game. You could see it, the Irish running backs, and they were keyed by Audric Estime and as well as Chris Tyree today. Logan Diggs was not available. We found that out post-game due to sickness. But there was push all day long, and the backs were able to get to the line of scrimmage before first contact and actually through holes. There were big holes in the line all day long, something I watched really closely. A respectable 147 total yards rushing today. Estime had 76, Tyree 64. And let's talk about Drew Pyne and the positives. He settled down nicely, ended up the ball game 17 of 23 for 150 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions. That's huge. The Irish were down 10-7 at the half. They were down 17-14 at the end of the third quarter. But then in the fourth quarter, the Irish scored 10 unanswered points for the win. And so it's a happy town here, South Bend, tonight. And just a bit relieved to finally notch the first victory of the season. And the Irish, they go to 1-2 on the season, and they head to North Carolina next week, where they'll play the Tar Heels, who are 3-0. And in typical ACC fashion, the week before you play Notre Dame, you get a bye. So North Carolina was idle today, and so they'll be ready for the Irish coming in at 3-0, the Irish at 1-2. So until next week, fans, stay on FightingIrishPreview.com for great features on the Irish all week long, for my game story, and for videos that we posted before and during the game today, if you missed them. And for Chad Ryan's great photography, we'll also have a lot of photos up there for you to see to help you to celebrate this great victory. So for Fighting Irish Preview, I'm Phil Houck, and that's a wrap.